Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast, and welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
Be honest. Have you ever had a special experience? I haven't, and I hate it. Hello/X/. Have you ever genuinely seen a cryptid or UFO or ghost? Ever encountered a magical being, seen genuine magic happen, truly felt a connection with a god or divine force? Have you ever encountered some deep rabbit hole? I'm not talking political crap. I mean something that shifted your entire life and understanding. Talk about it. I've never had any such experience. Not for a lack of trying either. I'm probably on the older side of people who lurk here and have been into all this shit for many, many years. I've met interesting people and been to interesting places, but nothing truly paranormal or supernatural or otherworldly has ever happened. It would be easier if I was a super rational skeptic atheist, but I'm not. Kinda sucks.
Saw this in the summer of 2018. It was late, maybe 11 p.m., but still visible because the sun had only set some 30 minutes before. I went outside to put laundry out because I didn't want to let wet laundry sit in the washing machine all night. And I saw it in the horizon, quite far away, but you still could see the shape of the craft. It was like pick-related, but gave out a green glow in front and some sort of golden glow at the back. At first, I just thought that it was some satellite or something, but then it started to maneuver very sharply and fly quickly towards the horizon until a few seconds later, I could not see it anymore. Also, I saw a ghost, but not a full apparition, only a foot and a calf. Story goes like this. I was dealing with business outside and went back home. At that time, my grandpa lived with us. As I entered the kitchen, I saw a foot and a calf, like Grandpa. Foot was wearing the same boots and calf was in the same pants as Grandpa usually wears, going behind a refrigerator. It blocks further vision into the kitchen, so I thought it was Grandpa going for a drink. As I went further, I saw that no one was in the kitchen, and Grandpa was in the living room sleeping. Chills went down my spine because I really saw someone go into the kitchen, but it just disappeared into thin air.
Yeah, I have. 3 times now. 1. Once I was driving in eastern Kansas around 1 to 2 a.m. on the highway. I was the only car on the road for a while, but there'd be occasional people driving opposite to my direction. Maybe once every 30 minutes or so. Well, I'm driving along and I see a pair of headlights, and just as I pass them on the road, I look in my side and rear view mirrors and see that the headlights are sideways, as though the car has crashed and is laying on its side. I glance a couple more times on the mirrors and all of a sudden it's gone. There's no taillights, headlights, smoke, or nothing, as though they weren't there. I wasn't tired at all during this portion of the drive, though maybe that's somehow a factor. 2. I was in Japan with 2 friends and we were going to hike up a mountain to see a Buddha statue that was overlooking the town we were in. We got to the base of the mountain, checked out some nearby temples, and started making way to what we thought was the trailhead. Instead, it turned out to be some sort of back road through a bamboo forest that led to an old and decrepit torii that marked a long, unused entrance to a Shinto cemetery. It was darker since the bamboo blocked out the overcast sun, and the trail had a decent bit of trash accumulation, which struck me as odd since the rest of the trip was clean. Anyways, we're at the torii, which is situated on top of a hill in that bamboo forest, and it's dead quiet. One of my friends leans on some sort of stone lantern sculpture, and immediately the wind picks up. All 3 of us notice it and comment on it, but ultimately laugh it off. We drink and eat a bit, and then begin to try to figure out where we need to go to get to the Buddha statue. And Alex touches the stone lantern again, LOL, and of course the wind picks up even more violently, and the bamboo woods and torii all start creaking. The creaking is decently loud too, like louder than a normal speaking voice outside, just short of a yell. We throw some spare yen coins we have at what we have come to understand to be a kind of alms dish thing, and promptly book it out of there, back down the back road from where we came. I had a sinking feeling in my stomach as though not only were we being observed, but that we had stayed there too long, as if some kind of retribution for our presence was imminent as soon as that last bout of creaking happened. 3. I was walking around in Portland, Oregon. It had been a rough week for me in many regards, and I had been feeling physically unwell. I had recently, within 24 hours of my walk, viewed Pick related for the first time. It seemed to have subconsciously had some sort of awakening effect in me because during my walk I saw a dead crow for the first time ever on the streets of Portland. I had worked on the downtown waterfront for 3 years and had been around thousands of crows. Any Portlanders would know how infested the city got with them. But I had never, not once, seen a dead crow despite seeing them in the thousands during my incoming and outgoing commute. It is difficult, if not impossible, to convey the totality of the moment because it was as though God had shown me that He is my keeper, that He and Him alone would have the power to protect and save my soul from the spiritual warfare being exerted upon it. This moment may seem paralyzingly mundane to most, but it felt as though God had guided me to pay attention to these seemingly unrelated details until, in that singular moment, He was able to thread a needle in time and space to convey to me His promise of safety and happiness. I was an atheist up until that point, but it was clear to me that I couldn't continue with that line of thinking after that experience. I could barely finish walking back to my apartment due to the profound relief and joy that I felt.
I am 25 years old, and I only experienced 2 weird things in my life. First one, I was 12 to 13 years old. I was skating with my best friend. It was late around 12 p.m., so we were skating and playing, and all of a sudden I saw a light in the sky. First I thought it was just a plane, so I just ignored it. Like 2 minutes later I just look at it again, and the light was turning around like a plane, but I just keep looking. Then the light just keeps going in circles. I was, whoa, look at that, and my friend is staring at that thing with me. Suddenly the light goes from red to white to blue to red and so on. This lasted like 5 minutes or so. Then the light just accelerates and goes up and disappears in just 1 second. We were both speechless. I literally asked him if he saw the whole thing like in movies. We both run to our houses to tell our families. None of them believed us. We still remember that night. Second one, it's shorter than the first one. So it was a time that I was forcing myself on having lucid dreams and dream paralysis. One day I was searching about guardian angels and stuff. I got bored and went to play some League of Legends. Time to go to bed. This time I didn't want to force a lucid dream or dream paralysis. I wanted a good rest. So I have a light always on. Not that I'm scared of the dark. It's just that I find it more practical. Because if I need to write about a dream or something, I don't need to get up. So that night that light was off so I could rest well. I remember just falling asleep watching YouTube with my phone. Then suddenly I wake up and everything is dark and a light appears. I couldn't distinguish how far the light was from me. I just know that I was looking up. Then the light starts to shine more and more, and I was getting the sense that the light was getting closer. Then I realized what was happening. I got scared of the situation, but the light didn't give me any bad vibes, neither good. So when I realized the situation, I woke up. 8 to 9 a.m., and my light was on. I didn't understand what just happened. I never searched again how to contact with guardian angels, but I believe in them. As far as I can remember, I always felt safe. I live in a bad zone, but I never felt unsafe walking at night and stuff. I don't know why.
My cat died but remained as a ghost in my bedroom. I'm pretty sure she's been leaving me messages in grass and trees and my interior and exterior walls saying to end myself. Do it now. Images of me shooting me, etc. I guess she wants to save me from my abusive family, so we can go off together in the afterlife. It does make sense, but I don't know, I still have things I want to do, even though I do love her intensely, and plan on spending the afterlife with her exclusively, but maybe also other cats I will befriend before death. I take pics of her ghost every day. It's subtle but visible. Looks like a cloud in my room where she used to sit a lot, and it has eyes that gaze at me knowingly. And she can fashion a smile and also a likeness of her old body. I lived in my room a decade with her and never noticed this phenomena till after she died, so I assume it is her, although I've had past pets die who may also be with me. I have a special connection with animals because they know I am more like them than other humans. We communicate psychically very easily, and they know humans generally don't do that at all. This particular cat was insanely intelligent and self-aware, and had an endless love and concern for me, and knew my family were abusive, so it doesn't surprise me that she'd figure a way to stay with me and communicate with me. I put a sweater on the back of the chair shaped like a cat, so she has a definite form. Then when I look, I see the ghost hovering. Me get it. I still miss her physical body because it's honestly very hard to relate to a ghost you can't touch or hug. I really miss that.
Hi. Had an experience not long ago, 2 years after my dog passed away. Black lab with all the cuteness. My tenant, friend of 20 years, refused to pay rent, and I was going to lose my house because of it. I couldn't make the mortgage. He was a prick and was doing it knowingly to hurt me. The house has been in the family for over 100 years. Massive stress and bad thoughts. Very bad thoughts, in fact. Then my best friend Sneaks died. The most beautiful black lab that you have ever seen, my roommate, friend of 13 years. A few months went by and my very bad thoughts continued. Nobody would win against the shithole upstairs. My house would be gone. The end was nigh. The thoughts would become action and resolution. Planned. 2 a.m. Sneaks wakes me up with a nudge of her nose and dancing around like she used to. She dances around in her come feed me dance. Walks a few paces toward the kitchen and looks to see if I am following. I started to cry. Sneaks, what are you doing here? The kitchen is glowing in bright light. Sneaks walks into the light. A sense of peace falls over me. I thought I died. I thought, should I follow her into the light? All was peaceful. I went to the light. I entered the kitchen. My ever-loving pooch was dancing around and ran into the living room. My mom was standing there. She died 20 years ago. My mom was smiling and healthy. Mom said, "She misses you." I said, "I miss you both," through crying and tears. "Everything will work out. I can't stay. I miss and love you. Please don't go." Sneaks dancing as I knelt down and hugged my pooch. Mom said, "I have a warning for you." I looked into her beautiful eyes. "You need to stay away from rivers and streams." "I will." I woke up in bed crying and continued to cry for another 20 minutes. I avoided all streams, rivers, etc. I am a photographer and do a lot of wilderness, mountain, nature landscapes, and my plan was to capture waterfalls that summer in Pennsylvania.
Holy shit, you just made me remember something. Not the usual /x/schizophrenic babble, like the other replies. I'll greentext it for funsies. Be me Britbong 6 years ago. Doing some shopping in the city with my girlfriend at the time. Be in a shop, health food shop, looking at their miscellaneous foodstuffs. I'm quite an intuitive person that notices shit that other people don't. Old woman catches my attention. She was very tall, and she had poor fashion sense. Like the stuff she wore was just mismatched, not eccentric, just a bit off. I made a mental note to watch what she was doing because she gave off a weird vibe, and she seemed out of place. I watched her go over to the counter to pay for something. She pulled out really old English currency, like shillings and a £1 note. That's odd. Leave shop and tell my girlfriend that I'm pretty sure that was an alien. She didn't notice anything because she was a smooth brain with no perceptive capabilities. The end. Pretty dull story, but after rattling my brain, that's the only thing I could think of. Alien or time traveler, maybe. I don't know.
Personally, OP, I've never been in contact with that ghost or alien stuff, but I've experienced some strange anomalies in my life that to this day I struggle to find any logical answer. I used to play a little game where I would ask random people to think about a number from 1 to 10 to see if I could guess which number it was. One night I asked my mom, also asked her to really focus on the number she was thinking about. I had this strange feeling as if for a brief moment I was deadly sure which one it was. I don't remember exactly which number it was, but I gave her the answer and I saw her face go pale for a sec. I was right. But maybe it was just luck, so I tried again and again. 3 times in a row I got them damn numbers right. She asked how the hell did I do that, and to this day I don't know. Also did this to a random on Omegle, and the reaction was gold. I also remember that one day I had my cell phone by my side while I was listening to some music on YouTube, and I had a schizo attack. I struggle with OCD very often, but back then it was way worse. And something in my mind came up with these 4 numbers. I looked back at my phone, and it was the exact time frame of the video I was listening to. I thought was that somehow I glanced at the screen without paying attention, and my subconscious saw those numbers and gave it to me. But it's not possible since the video was running, not paused. That only fucked me up even more. Here's an extra. I had a déjà vu one day where I felt that I've already experienced that moment before. Usual stuff with déjà vus, right? But the thing is, sometimes I go further and something inside my brain automatically tries to predict what is going to happen next. Usually I miss, and something else happens instead. But this time, I was right. So right, in fact, that instantly I decided to block that moment from my life, and not to think about it ever again. I still don't remember the prediction, and thank God for that.
When I was a kid, I was showing my friend where the bathroom at my grandmother's house was. It was 4th of July, and he came over to our cookout. When I turned around to head back downstairs, I looked into a bedroom with its door open. On the wall hung this oval-shaped mirror. I saw an old white man with gray hair, wearing a sweater vest and a button-up shirt under it. He was just smiling. It was almost like it was a photo. I feel like I only saw it for a single frame, in video game terminology. I sprinted out of that house and told my family someone was in the room upstairs. They checked it out. No one. I described the person I saw, and my grandparents looked at each other and my grandfather admitted it sounded a lot like the man who lived in the house before them. To this day, I am not sure what happened. It felt extremely real, and I have no clue how I would have just imagined this. Another time when I was in high school, me and my stepbrother shared a room. We were playing video games, probably Call of Duty, when I noticed something flickering outside. It just caught the corner of my vision. On a hill fairly far away, I noticed some floating object with multiple colors flickering on it. They were red, yellow, and blue lights just flickering on it. The hill had to have been a good amount of miles away. We tried photographing it and we couldn't. It just showed up as a very fuzzy image since this was around IDK, probably 2009 or 2010. The cameras in our phones just weren't good enough to capture it that far away. We would get like a slight yellow dot on the photo. We posted it on Facebook and others seemed to see it. However, it was hard to tell if anyone was trolling or not. Eventually, it just disappeared. Oh, and just about every time a loved one dies, I have a dream about them talking to me from the afterlife. For my great-grandmother and grandfather, it was the night of... For one of my friends who I lost recently, it was before I heard the news he passed. I assumed it was just my mind coping at first, but it always felt extremely surreal. The one about my grandfather had me wake up crying. We were talking in this weird house that was a mashup of his house and his mother's house. He told me he loved me and gave me a hug. He said he didn't have a ton of time to talk, but he wanted to make sure to see me. He told me to take care of my grandmother, gave me a hug, and my body felt like static or goosebumps all over. I woke up crying and I felt charged with energy or power. It felt like I felt the afterlife. It was just pure bliss. Just thinking about that moment years later still makes me feel insane. Just goosebumps and like static numbness all over.
I attempted to astral project when I was 19, and after reading some books on it, I kept trying to forcefully leave my body through a sleep paralysis hack. Pretty sure I attracted a demon, as I became increasingly on edge and petrified of the dark and felt like I was about to be possessed at any moment. It got so bad that I was lying in my room and was petrified to turn the light off as I could sense an evil entity watching me. Before I went completely nuts, I suddenly silently called out, "Jesus!" with all of my willpower in an act of complete desperation. And within less than half a second of calling out Jesus, I immediately felt an incredibly heavenly angelic being embrace me. All of my fear left me immediately, and I went into a blissful sleep within a second of the embrace. All my fear was gone in the following days, and I didn't sense the evil entity at all after that. I have an even wilder experience if you want to hear it. When I was 21, I became a fully fledged Buddhist monk in the forests of northeast Thailand. I followed every instruction the master of the temple gave me, followed the 227 monastic Theravada rules in the Vinaya to the best of my ability, and meditated on the mantra Buddho, along with metta meditation steadily for 2 years. I lived in a hut at the top of one of the mountains next to the temple in the forest, and spent the 2 years in seclusion, facing my greatest inner fears, and learning to become a master of my mind rather than my mind being a master over me. There was one point where my master told me I need to work harder than I've ever worked before, as my meditation had developed very well. Therefore, I fasted for 7 days, only eating a tiny amount of sugar snacks on the 4th and 6th day. I started blasting out metta, loving kindness, from my heart, and was radiating it out from my soul. I've never had better metta meditation than that week. When I returned down from my hut at the top of the mountain to the temple to go on the alms round with the other monks to the nearby village on the morning after the 7th day. That's when it happened. I was sitting in the temple doing the morning chanting and meditating prior to the morning walk with the other monks to the village, and I felt something was very wrong. I stood up and started walking anti-clockwise in the temple. As I was walking anti-clockwise around the temple, something took control of my body. I no longer had control of my body and was looking out of my eyes, yet was not in control. Something had totally possessed me. My body began to walk like the most disgusting, snake-like demonic being you can ever imagine. Whatever it was incredibly evil. Just before it took complete control of my body, I physically screamed out the word Jesus 3 times. Another thing that happened as it had my body circling the temple anti-clockwise is 2 of the Thai nuns who did not speak a word of English entered the temple. However, they were walking much more gracefully than I've ever seen them walk. The oldest nun, who had never spoken a word of English, said my name in perfect English and then said, "Please help us." After this, the demon started walking my body out of the temple in a disgusting snake-like manner with a crowd of Thais watching. It started gaining speed and was walking me directly towards a concrete pillar, as it almost made me walk head first right into the concrete pillar. I felt myself do like a burst of willpower to redirect my body away from the pillar, which seemed to work. It tried 3 times to smack my head into the pillar. However, I barely managed to use my willpower to prevent it somehow. The pain I was experiencing in my soul while this thing was possessing me was like the pain of death. Hard to describe how painful it was. Suddenly, I had the intuition that the only way I was going to get free was to let go completely. I mentally let go of trying to fight and just felt a wave of peace hit me and a flash of light. Whatever was in control of me slowed down. My steps started going slower and I was about to fall. Crazily, about 10 Thais were there right next to me waiting, and I fell into their arms, and I kid you not, they fucking lifted me up into the form of a cross and carried me over to the temple and lay me down. Whatever had possessed me lost its power when I did the let go feeling, and I blacked out shortly after they put me down. When I arose again, I was exhausted, yet felt a strange revolving energy present in my soul heart area that wasn't there before. I felt this holy energy revolving around in my soul, and the demonic presence was gone. I'll never forget that experience for the rest of my life, and there were many freaked out witnesses that day. For the next few weeks I was very unwell, mostly due to the shock of what had happened. But I also had a feeling of inhuman strength, which the other monks couldn't explain, where I could easily lift very heavy objects, which other monks my size could hardly lift at all. I could lift 2 massive concrete posts with each arm easily. Perhaps it was a remnant of the demonic possession, but it took a month for that strength to subside and for my body to fully relax and recover from what had happened. My time as a Buddhist monk was wild. If you get anything from this story, I hope you understand that the physical plane is not the only plane. There is spiritual warfare, and therefore take care not to sin, as it's your shield and protection from these entities.
I'm not sure if it counts, but I am pretty sure I ran into St. Nicholas one time. I don't remember all the details. I remember I just got my first proper job after years of switching from one shitty company to another, and that I had a real good feeling about this new one. Turns out I was right. It was, and still is, the best place I worked at, with some amazing people there. Around the same time, I got out of a really bad heartbreak, decided to turn around my life, started lifting and losing weight. You get the idea. I decided it was time to stop being a fat, lazy piece of shit. Anyway, I went out with a few of my friends to grab some drinks. It was a cold and rainy night, and I had to grab a cab. Luckily, there was only one taxi around, a rather old one, and I got that one. The driver was an older man with a big white beard, glasses, the whole deal. The car was filled with books and smelled like them too, with something sweet mixed in as well. It was also really, really warm. So I get in, take a seat, and the driver turns up the radio to some chill classical music. I have no idea what radio station that was. I also have no idea what magic this guy did, because there was no other car out besides us, and the ride back was so comfy I almost fell asleep. I get home, the driver gives me a discount and says, "Go now, rest, you deserved it," and disappears into the night. That same moment I get the "that was St. Nicholas" idea in my head out of nowhere, and it's been stuck in there ever since. Weirder still, St. Nicholas is the patron saint of my family. So yeah, I guess I took a taxi ride with an actual saint.
Sure, when I was 5, I saw 2 kids dressed in old-time clothing playing behind my house in the woods. After I told my mom, she freaked out and made me stay inside for a long time. Later, I found out back in the 1800s, some lady who owned the property went batshit crazy and murdered her 2 children. When I was around 8 to 9, I saw a UFO in plain daylight along with my sister and my mother when we called her outside. Looked like your stereotypical UFO, silver saucer just chilling in the sky, slowly flying over until it crossed over the tree line and we couldn't see it anymore. Didn't do any crazy shit like fly super fast or anything. Wish I could have saw that. When I was driving home from work, 16 years old, it was late, maybe a few minutes before midnight. Taking the back road to my house like I always did, I drove by the old farmhouse that has a small Civil War graveyard in the back. Nobody lives in the farmhouse, and the grass just gets mowed by a farmer down the road a bit out of respect. Anyway, I was driving by when I felt, clear as day, a hand grip my right thigh and squeeze. I felt everything, the palm, the fingers, the pressure of it. I slammed on my brakes and just sat there staring for a while, afraid to turn around in my car. Also afraid to get out because of the old farmhouse and graveyard was to my left on the side of the road. Sat there for about 5 minutes before I threw my seatbelt off and jumped out of the car. Shined my phone's flashlight through my windows to check if anyone was in my back seat. It was empty. I get back in my car and slowly drive back to my house. If it wasn't for these experiences, I probably wouldn't believe in the paranormal.
Friend OD's on Fent, before it was cool. At his funeral, druggy degenerate friends say dumb stories about him, feel irritated. The kid was actually brilliant and loved chemistry. Feel urged to go talk about a time we stayed up all night in a La Quinta talking about science and physics and Terence McKenna type shit. Don't stand up to speak. Feel regret. The lights in the funeral parlor start to flicker. Get a feeling my dead friend would be pissed if he saw these assholes speaking this way at his funeral, knowing the circumstances of his death at 17. Naturally, we plan to throw a celebration of life type party afterwards, where everyone will get drunk and do drugs. Before the party, while I'm sitting alone in my car, notice a place where the friend who died accidentally burned a hole with a cigarette in the roof lining. Start hysterically laughing for a good 2 minutes. This is literally the mark he left on the world, I think to myself. Get this weird feeling like if he saw me, he'd agree with me how bad he fucked up. Go to party. Despite being a total introvert who has been to one party in his life, I'm having a lot of fun. Get too drunk. Throw up and feel very bad about dead friend. Cry while thinking about him as I vomit. Party goes to other person's house. My parents pick me up from there totally shit-faced and with vomit all over my shirt. They lay me down in bed. They are understanding given the circumstances and don't harass me. They close the door. It's around 3 a.m. So exhausted, I am falling asleep almost immediately. Just feel grateful to be in my own bed. Suddenly, I distinctly feel the sensation of a pat on my back 3 times. Almost like a, "It's okay, bro, you're good." Look around. No one in the room, the door is closed. Feel a sense of peace, comfort, and happiness. Drift off to sleep thinking, thank you and goodbye. Could have just been a drunken hallucination, but it felt very real and was an emotional experience.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel as more Greentext will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.